son.
Hey guys, Thetcglover here. How you doing today? Coming a video. Well, there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening, a lot of leaks. Clash of Rebellion had some really great leaks recently. If you check out Yu-Gi-Oh! Organization, you can check those out. Of course, the other thing that's happening, which happened literally like yesterday, that the OCG have now got their ban list, which is going to be coming out on the 1st of April. We don't have ours, and that's because Konami like to push it as far close to the date as possible so that we can all scramble and pay stupid amounts of money for cards which we would like to have known about a week before so that we don't feel pressured to pick up Raigeki or Snatch Steel, etc. With the OCG, there's been a lot of really interesting hits and bans. I'm not going to go into too much because I am not the OCG lover. I don't know enough about the meta in the OCG land to really be able to talk about it on a level and really go into depth about why the Dragon Rulers were banned. I know there's something to do with the new Red Eye support, but that's not the point of the video. So the point of the video is to talk about DMOC, Dark Magician of Chaos. Now, I made a video about a week or two ago where I was talking about Crush Card Virus getting errated or getting the text changed and how it's insulting to players and how it's taking cards that were super powerful and then going, you know, let's just change it, and it's as if it was never powerful in the first place. So it's like, it is kind of defecating on the old Yu-Gi-Oh! Player base that used to exist, and now they'll look at the way that it's changed into now and they'll go, oh, I don't get this anymore. Even my old playable fun cards, I can't play them now because they're not the same card anymore. Unless you play them like they used to be, it's not the same. DMOC is one of those few cards which I felt was on the list, but I feel like it should have been once a turn in the first place. Now, DMOC's been errated so that its first effect, which returns a spell card from the graveyard to the hand, which was the reason why you play it in the first place. This card's effect was you could use it recursively every single turn. If you use Dimension Fusion, you could keep bringing it back. I can't remember the name of it, Dimension something, and you pay 2,000 life points, you keep bringing it back and you keep reusing its effect and you could keep looping it. It's really retarded. So with stuff like that, why couldn't it just be once per turn in the first place? And that's sort of reason why I feel like DMOC coming back was actually not a bad idea. I'm comparing it to stuff like Crush Card, where we know that Crush Card in its full powered state could not come back because once you resolve it and once you hit like 2 or 3 cards, then it was going to completely win you the game because your opponent was too far behind during a time of the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Where you had Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity and so on, and that was the only way that you could gain advantage outside of actually attacking over monsters. So if you lost 3 cards, you were behind 3 cards for the rest of the game, and that was it. You know, it wasn't really fair. So for DMOC to go once per turn on a spell card, the spell card effect, is actually really good because now that you actually think about what it could be used with, it isn't broken at all. It was the fact that you could keep looping it with things, and loops in old cards are not good. You know, Exchange of the Spirit getting errated as well, but originally you could just mill your half of your deck and then activate it and make your opponent draw and then lose because they had nothing in their hand or they had nothing they could do. They only had the 5 cards in hand and that was it. So that was unfair. So unfair cards that were not super powerful, like Chaos Emperor Dragon, that were like, oh my god, you lose everything, right? If it's just cards that loop and take your whole thing away and are not fun, then those are the kind of cards that need to get errated so that they're balanced. And DMOC was one of them. It was the amount of advantage it generated was not fair. So it wasn't powerful. It was powerful and it had its own like fan base, you know, just like Dark Magician and Blue Eyes Red Dragon and stuff, but not on the same kind of power level as Chaos Emperor Dragon. So DMOC, in my opinion, if I could pick 2 decks which I feel like DMOC benefits the most, Spellbooks and Shadows. Now Spellbooks can actually really abuse this card, and of course Spellbooks haven't been relevant for like a year, right? So we know that for DMOC to come back, Spellbooks will not be effective. It'll be, you know, it's an instant one-off, right? You don't have to play all the really extra stuff. You can play Priestess, DMOC, and that's it, okay? You don't have to play the level 9 or anything like that. You use Temperance to bring it back after you've activated a spellbook, and then you get the spellbook back. So there's always target for DMOC, and of course DMOC will get banished when it's done, and then you can't get it back again, so that's fine. And the other one would be Shadow, because you can use something like Soul Charge, or you can use you can just send it with Shadow Fusion. And of course Shadow has now been established as a tier 2 deck, so it's not played anymore in that regard, as in it's not like the deck you take if you could play, there was many other decks that you could play instead of it. So with Demok coming back, it actually benefits lower tier decks and pushes them upwards and gives them extra tools for which they can play with, while not benefiting other decks like Cleave4. It doesn't benefit Cleave4 at all. You get back Sacrifice with 2 tributes, like who cares, right? Necros don't get any benefit from either because it doesn't actually benefit them anyway. So in that regard, those kind of things is actually good. So Demok coming back is actually really beneficial for certain decks, but not for the best. And that's how it should be, rather than trying to bring back a card and then hit cards to make sure that it could be okay. Because Demok should have just been once per turn in the first place. It just makes sense, doesn't it? It means that they kind of just made a mistake thinking that it would be okay to just put a recursive effect like that and think no one's going to abuse it. Anyway, I would like you guys to go into the comments down below and comment down your opinions. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, and I think that it's really great that it's coming back in too long didn't reform. Yeah, so I hope to hear from you guys in a few days, and until then, the Thetcglover is out.